welcome to Taco Tuesday. I'm super excited. We have my friend Aspen with us. Aspen is amazing. If you have never heard her speak before, you are in for a serious treat tonight. She is, well, first of all, she's just an amazing speaker in general, but she is, I think she is really an expert on mindset. Um, I would say she is someone who has not always had the easiest life, but she always strives to thrive, not survive. And I have always been in awe of her mindset and her attitude towards life, and the fact that she doesn't give up no matter what, and she doesn't accept excuses or anything less of than her best from herself and her family. So you guys are in for a treat tonight. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you, Karen. I could say all the same things about you. I guess I'll start tonight, and I am a talker, so I will just I want to share some stories with you that I told Karen, like, I've done speaking engagements even at like reunion breakouts where I don't make a single note and I just go because I'm not one, like, you'll never see me read something. I never get nervous when I speak except for when I read something. If you hand me a piece of paper, my hands will shake and I'll get so nervous. But when I just speak with you, so if I fumble over my words, if I forget what I'm going to say, I did take a couple notes, which is not like me, but I have some stories that I wanted to share with you. So I will tell you a little bit about me first, just so you not understand where I come from, but I guess maybe to give myself some credibility, right? So a lot of times we look at other people and we say, hey, um, who are you to say, like, who are you to tell me that this is so easy and you can get through it? And, or we look at somebody else and we always have this idea in our heads that maybe everyone has it a little bit easier than we do. And that's something that we tell ourselves when we look around, even with our business, with no matter what it is. One of the easiest ways to get out of hard work is to look around and say, no one has it as hard as I do, right? So that being said, I will never say my life is hard, ever, ever. I don't believe the statement, God only gives you what you can handle. Not true. God helps you handle what you have. And so I will tell you, this is working on my 16th year with Sensia. I think I joined the month after Karen did. We are not in the same downline. We are sideline. We've always just pulled up next to each other and grabbed hands and ran. And that's what has been one of the greatest blessings of this Sensi life. But when I started Sensi, my husband was a corporal in the Marine Corps and we were poor. Like, no money to eat at Taco Bell poor. So 2 kids, 2 and 4, we lived on base. We were living on a corporal paycheck, which I don't remember how much it was, but I don't think it was more than $1,500 a month. I don't think it was. So that being said, we had zero money. Since he was my Christmas present, but we couldn't buy it until payday, of course, because we didn't have any money. And so I got my Christmas present at, I think, December 30th, maybe, because of course that early payday rolled in. And so I didn't get my kit till the next year. So when I began Scentsy, I had worked my whole life since I was 15 years old. I had 2 toddlers, and going to work felt like I would make just enough to pay someone else to watch my kids. And so I was like, I'm not doing that. But I've always worked and I've always had money, so I have to do something. And so I found Scentsy and started it and said, you know what, I'm going to make this work. And I went through the whole everybody laughs at you and tells you it's not a real thing to direct sales is not a job. And you guys know, I mean, if you've been here 2 days, you know how that feels if you're working your business. So life has handed us so many different things. Mike has done deployments, not during my Cincy journey, but before that. I have an adult son now. My 2 and 4 are now 17 and 19. My 19-year-old son is severely autistic, and so I am his full-time caregiver. He still lives with us and forever will until we cannot take care of him anymore, or until he doesn't want to live with us anymore. My daughter I was just talking to Karen, and she knows both the kids, but she's about to be a senior in high school. We've gone through so much with Shane, epilepsy and rheumatoid arthritis, and of course, autism and all the school things, and moves with the military and moves after. I think since I started Sensi, I've probably moved over a dozen times, and I'm not talking down the street. I've lived in, I think, 4 different states with Sensi. and moved my business with me everywhere I went and started over and over and over again and figured it out over and over again, right? So seasons have changed from I'd really like to make a car payment to I'm saving so that someday my daughter will have the money to take care of my son when I am no longer here. And so things that used to look like we're too broke to buy Taco Bell now can look like, okay, this may be some financial security for our future and for our children's future. And so when I look at Cincy, I know that even through the ebb and the flow, when we're in the bottom, the top will come. And so that's one of the reasons why I stick, except for along the way, the hard times come, right? Um, there are so many, like I said, seasons where I look at my business and I say, and I'm just going to be just flat out real with you guys. After 15 and a half years, there are moments when I'm like, is this really going to last forever? Is questions I ask myself. Okay, well, half of my team has quit and now I have to grow. Like, why am I still doing this? Why is this so hard? Why can other people recruit but not me? Why is it so hard for me to get away from home when I want to go somewhere now? It was easy to find somebody to watch Shane when he was little and cute and did toddler things. But now that he's almost 20 and he still does toddler things, it's very hard to find someone to care for him. So why is that so hard? And why why do I have to move so much military wise? And why do orders fall through at the last minute? And why do these things happen? Right? Except for I don't do that. I don't do any of that. I never ask why it's so hard because the why is the why I'm running my Cincy business. Why am I working harder? Because it's really hard to find someone to care for my son. And I have to have a lot of money to find somebody to care for him, or I have to phone a friend. And I'll be honest, I think there's one person on this planet that jumps in when I need them to help, aside from my husband. So why is this so hard for me? No, no, no. This is hard for everybody. Some people just choose the work and they choose to grow. And if I'm not going to be that person, then what am I doing? And I have to remind myself of those things because I'll sit back and I'll look at my business and I'll say, maybe it's time to do something else. And then I'll say, maybe it's time to get back to work. Maybe I became a director in 6 months because I was working a little harder than I am right now. It wasn't an accident, but you have to remind yourself of those things. And you can look around and we see other people, like I said earlier, and we think, the reason it goes so well for her is because she's cuter or she's funny or she has more time on her hands or she has the money to go the places and talk to the people and do the things. No, 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 no. If you look at the leaders in this company, they come from every single walk of life. And I guarantee you, if you look hard enough, you can find one that wears the same shoes as you do. And my very first reunion in 2009, when I went, I sat there and broke as a joke, eating from the convenience store, floating checks so that we could pay for our room. And I saw those women cross that stage and I looked at them. And if you've never been to a reunion, I dare you to make it work this year. I dare you because it will change your life forever. I looked at those women, and the one thing I took away that year was that they're no different than me. There's no difference. They go home to a messy house and the dog that peed on the carpet. They have messes, they have flat tires, they have messy days, they have happy days. They may put on a smiley face or laugh through the pain where I can't sometimes, but everybody has a life story. I don't remember which reunion it was, but we got to hear Brene Brown speak. And if you've never heard her speak, you should look her up and listen to her because she's an amazing speaker. And she said something that on stage that has stuck with me forever and ever and ever. And she said, everybody has a story. Most people have a story that will make you cry, but some people have a story that will bring you to your knees. And those are the people that move forward. the hardest and the fastest. They're the ones that get up more than everybody else and make you pay attention. And so remember when you have excuses of why you can't and why things are hard and you just can't do this, because turn those into the reasons that you can. Because those are the reasons why I can say to my daughter, look what I've done through it all. And she knows that she now has zero excuses. I can look at my son and know that I'm caring for him, that he will be cared for, not because he was the reason that I couldn't, but because he's the reason that I could. That's why you flip it into why you can't. Can't go to reunion because you're broke. Maybe you should find a way, because if you want to make money, you got to show up. And like, as horrible as it sounds, like that's just the reality of it. And I would never ever say these things to you guys if I don't say them to myself. And I tell my team the same thing. Like, I'm not coming here to preach to you and tell you, oh, these are all the things that I've done and all the things that I've been through, and this is how you make it work. I'm just here to tell you my story and tell you and show you that it can be done too. And you know, that one of the things, we're so good at making excuses throughout life, whether it's for this business, whether it's for exercise, whether it's for anything, that we make excuses for other people too. How many times have we thought about asking someone, hey, you should join my team, but we put the brakes on and we think she's too successful, or, oh, she has another job she would never want to, or she works full time, or she's too busy, she has too many kids, she has her hands full, she's too cool, she's too fancy, she has too much money, he doesn't like what I do, he's not interested in candles, they don't like fragrance. We're so good at making excuses for ourselves that we make them for everybody else too. Catch yourself, check yourself. I do it all the time. I'll get into a swing where, gosh, you guys have gone before over the years, maybe for 6 months without recruiting one single person. And then I realized, whoa, what am I doing? I have got to check myself. Now, mind you, I'm not near the recruiter Karen is when she sets her mind to it, but I can recruit a few when I put my mind to it, when I decide it's something I want to do. And so, or we settle in to mediocrity, which is what we do, right? We settle in and we say, it's not for us. The top of the stage is not for us. The top of the compensation plan is not for us. She can do it, but I can't. Why? Why do we do that to ourselves? You guys, in all things, we have to know what we're capable of, right? We have to know that at the end of the day, we are capable of legit anything we want to do. Karen mentioned in the beginning that I'm an avid athlete. That's so funny because I never see myself as an athlete, but I'll tell you this. Nobody likes to exercise. No, it sucks. And it's sweaty and it hurts. Like, exercise sucks, but the only difference in someone that doesn't exercise and does is that one person's willing to suck it up and the other person isn't. That's it. Like, I'm telling you, I watched a movie. Have you ever seen that movie called Brittany Runs a Marathon? If you haven't seen it, watch it. So I watched that movie and I looked at Mike, that's my husband, and I said, I think I'm gonna run a half marathon. He laughed at me. Like, this is the girl that maybe ran a couple 5Ks real slow, right? That's 3 miles. And a half marathon is 13 miles. And so I'm like, no, really, I am. And so I did. I trained by running and it sucked and I hated it. And I did it. I ran a half marathon. And you know what I did when I finished the half marathon? I was like, you know what? I feel like a lot of people finished a half marathon. So think I'm going to do a marathon. But you know what? If I'm going to do a marathon, what's 6 more miles on top of 26? So I decided to do an ultra marathon. Because if you're going to suck it up and be dumb enough to run 26 miles, why would you not go 6 more already in pain, right? You're already going to be numb. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do an ultra marathon. And everybody laughed, right? Like, nobody, why would you run 31 miles? It's ridiculous. And I'm like, you know why? Because I want to stand at the finish line and say that I did, right? Because everyone's body is capable of doing it. And so there's a few people that decide to, and a few people that don't, right? And so I wanted to be one of the people that did. And so I trained for it. And I'll tell you what, through my training, like you start small miles, like, and I mean, small after you run 31 seems, well, you start with 1 and then 2 and then 5, and then your long runs are 10. And I swear in my training, like my pitfall was like the 13, 14 mile mark. And legit training, when I would have my long mile days, when I hit 13, 14 miles, I would cry every single time. Like it didn't matter where I was, if I'm in the middle of a neighborhood, it didn't matter. Like I'm bawling, like jogging, crying, but I'm doing it. And I hated it. And by the time I got to 14 or 15, I'm like, okay, I'm fine now. You know how like sometimes we just have to do that and then we're just fine. And so I did, and I got to the ultra, and it was a 40-degree day, and I did it, and I finished it in 6.5 hours. I ran, jogged, walked 31 miles, and I crossed the finish line with tears running down my street. And you know who was standing there watching? My daughter. And at that moment, I knew that it was worth it. But the lesson in it, you guys, is that we are capable of so much more than we ever give ourselves credit for. I don't expect you guys to all go out and run a marathon or even a 5K or exercise tomorrow. That's not what this is about. This is about the idea that you don't even know what you're capable of unless you're going to be willing to try, unless you're going to be willing to suck it up and stop making excuses. We never even scratch the capacity of what we're built for. And so you get to decide how far you'll go, whether it's in a walk or whether it's with your Scentsy journey. There's nothing stopping you that hasn't been on someone else's plate, right? We have to decide to do hard things. So I have enough because I have a ton of stories. Last weekend, so my daughter is a runner, way better runner than I am. She literally can finish a 5K and wait for me for 12 minutes before I finish. Okay. She could lap me like twice. But anyways, I digress. She's fast. I just go. So she was invited to Baylor here in Texas to watch the Big 12 track and field championships, and because they want her to go run for her next year, or for them next year, right? And so she gets there because she's excited, and she's been talking to a ton of schools. This is just the first one that invited her. So we go, and she talks with the team, and I wasn't there the first day. I came that night, and D1 university, private school, like Big 12 school, one of the best in the nation. And if anybody went to Baylor, like I don't mean anything bad by this. And you know what she said about the team and after the girls and hanging with them and running with them for the day? She said, they're just running for fun. And I don't want to run for fun. I want to win. And I'm like, okay. So you have to remember that if you're going to win, you have to surround yourself with the people who are winning, right? So if you're surrounding yourself with Scentsy hobbyists, you're probably going to be a hobbyist. But if you start rubbing shoulders with the people who are doing big things, then you're going to start doing big things. I'll tell you what, one of the biggest blessings that I ever landed my feet into is a little group chat called Meat and Potatoes. And I don't, honestly, the name's changed several times and I don't know how the heck it's called that, but it's literally, oh gosh, maybe 10 or 12 women that are Scentsy Superstore directors that on most days leave me in their dust. Like they can run Scentsy circles around me, but I'm surrounding myself with the people that are where I want to be, that are doing the things that I need to be doing. And so they're showing up over and over. They're earning top 50 trips. And I'm not doing that, but that's what I want to do. And so by surrounding myself with a team that is where I want to be, I will get to where I want to go, right? So just like my daughter, I don't want to sign up for a team where I'm the fastest runner. I don't want to sign up for a team where I'm the best. Yes, be a leader. Yes, take people with you, but make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are growing, pushing and moving, because if not, you'll learn to accept their excuses. You'll learn to accept their mediocrity. It's really easy to listen to team members, to Scentsy friends, to even people that aren't with Scentsy. And if they tell you over and over again that it's hard, that direct sales isn't really a business, if they tell you over and over again that no one wants to join, that you can't make any money, or nobody wants to buy anything, you're probably going to start believing it. Just like that running team decided to run for fun because they weren't winning. These are the things we tell ourselves to make ourselves feel better about where we are, right? I do the same thing. Like, maybe the Cincy gig isn't working out. Maybe I need to look for something else. You know who's not working? It's me. When I say that, it's not the business that's not working, because somebody's killing it. It might not just be me. So it's time to turn around and look at myself. So don't let more defeat you. Don't let the idea of pushing harder defeat you. Don't let the people around you pull you down. You guys have heard all of these things before. I'd like to bet that Karen has said all these things before. But looking around, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with those people. If you're the fastest, you need to find a new team, right? Because I want you to be fast. I want you to work well, and I want you to work hard. But you've got to keep moving forward, right? And so I will circle back to my, well, I mean, so many stories, but this journey has come so far. I mean, when it comes to Scentsy, I will say this: as long as you're ready to work and you do more working than complaining, this will always be the place for you. Because when you start complaining, when you start making excuses, when you start voicing the things that are wrong more than you voice the things that are right, you're going to believe it. And I mean, that's true in life and with Scentsy. So I will say, I guess I'll leave you with I guess probably the statement my daughter gets tired of hearing the most is just keep your head up. That's it. That's all I got, Karen.
That was awesome. Thank you. Thank you. There aren't any questions in the chat. There's thank you, awesome, hashtag truth, all that kind of thing. If you guys have any thank you. If you have any questions for Aspen, and I've always viewed you as an athlete, by the way.
I don't know why.
Don't you think, haven't you always viewed her as an athlete? Oh, Steve has not.
I see. He's on the same page as Mike.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Hold on one sec.